Aloha from Kilipohe, Ke Kani Aloha. Back on the LS MT125 transmission. I'm going to start with draining out this hydrostatic drive. There is a little bit of oil left in the lower portion of it. So I'm hoping, what I kind of hope happened here is that the transmission ran low on fluid, hydraulic oil, and that burned up the pump section of it. That's all shot. I think once I pull into that a little bit, we're going to find major carnage. I'm thinking a totally destroyed bearing and a bunch of other stuff, and you know, all of this metal is mostly from the pump portion of the hydrostatic drive. The thing is, I'm not really sure how fluid gets, well, I take that back. There's a port here that comes through here, and I believe that's where fluid comes back into the geared portion of the transmission from the hydrostatic drive after it's done what it's going to do, either it's, you know, driven or whatever. I think below here in the hydrostatic drive, there's always fluid, even if the whole thing gets drained out. And that, hopefully, I'm hoping, has saved the motor portion of the hydrostatic drive. I looked at my notes again, and these units, the motor here and the pump here, those are $477 a piece. So this is $1,000 worth of parts. If all we do is replace the motor and the pump, which I know that's not the case. So I've got this bin here, and I'm going to drain out the lower portion, and we'll see what's inside of it. I did, you know, when I pulled it off the geared portion of the transmission, it leaked out quite a little bit of fluid on the ground. So hopefully this will do the rest of it. I can hear stuff rolling around inside there. Yeah, I mean, parts are falling out. But I'm just going to let that sit there for a little while. I can already see a lot of sparklies on the paper towel. I put a paper towel on the bottom of this bin. It's not a particularly clean bin. So I'm going to take a look at the rest of this stuff here. Let's see about pulling this bracket off. I should probably just pull this filter off. It's brand new. I just put it on. Alright, well, I think it's pretty much done dripping oil. Let's see where we stand here. Yeah, you can hear stuff just shaking around inside there. This is the front bearing for some shaft. I'm not sure which one, but it fell out when I turned it over. That's probably a good thing. Some shims. Yeah, this shim is pretty badly abraded. Yeah, you can see all kind of sparklies in there. And there really wasn't that much oil left in it. That's probably a third of what came out when I took the hydrostatic drive off of the gearbox and set it down on the concrete, and it all drained out. So there we go. Okay. I just wrapped it in some saran wrap and put it back in the box it came in, and we'll be able to move on. Put that back in when we get to it. Oh, yeah, that baby's. There we go. Got to switch a little bit. That's the this is the neutral switch. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense having all of this stuff in its own little bin, but I only have 100. I have to buy 100 of these bins at a time, so might as well. I'm a little worried about these bores, which you can clearly see this. The bearing has been spinning in that bore, and there was a shim here at one time. It's gone or whatever, I don't know. But the interesting thing is this one has that same kind of weird CNC mark on it. Yeah, this one too. So maybe that's a problem, maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll see. So I priced the hydrostatic unit complete from LS, and it's about $4,000. According to some online sources, there some of the parts for the interior are not available. So if, for instance, the hydrostatic motor is shot, then I won't be able to get that, and I'll just have to buy the whole thing. So a lot of grass junk in these socket head screws. They're not super torqued down. Interesting. That's a real short one. That one right there. And that's a short one too, and it doesn't seem to have a, it flew off. It doesn't seem to have a lock washer. I'm missing one? What's this little thing? Little tiny Allen head. Maybe 3mm. Not much torque on it at all. But it is a threaded fastener. Oh, that's pathetic. It's a bearing here. This is just a cooling passage plate, I believe. Yeah, looks like we just feed fluid from one port. It goes down around and then comes back. So not a lot to talk about there. This is going to be the crazy one here. Why is that not coming up? It's stuck on a pin. I think there's a fastener. I think there's a pin right here that's holding it up. don't want to lift this thing off and have everything go sproinging everywhere. Oh, come on. Almost there we go. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to put that down right here so you guys can see what we're looking at here. There's the carnage. That is somebody's roller bearing, probably the roller bearing for the pump, in pieces in the bottom of this thing. Oh, these little pins are shot. These are indexer pins for the valve plates that go on here, like both of them. So this is the motor valve plate, and it's got some pretty nasty little grooves in it. There and there. Back side of it's okay. A pump valve plate. Oh my goodness. This is all. I should really be wearing gloves. This is all cheeched up real bad. Surprisingly, this side of it is in pretty good condition. I wonder if it just K-toed and left that alone. Boy, those pins are going to have to come out. I bet you they're hard as coffin nails, and they are just not going to want to come out. Okay, can I get this thing out? Yeah, so these guys are stuck. They're not supposed to be stuck. I mean, this pump is shot straight up. You can see how the ends of this thing are totally mangled. Wish there was a way to get this out of here without dropping everything. Let me hold it. Yeah, okay. Well, the motor, some little marks in that valve surface, not good. Get it been magnet. This is exactly what I expected. I know it sounds horrible, but this is exactly what I expected. This is the thrust bearing that the pump pistons ride on. That's non-ferrous. I wonder, that's some kind of seal or something. There's a bunch of stuff in here that's not metal. I mean, it's almost like a gasket or something. This is the roller bearing for the pump. I don't know if these races come out. They're supposed to come out. Pick. I just don't know if that's jammed in there or what. So that's the swash plate for the pump. And yeah, that bearing is trash, and this plate is trash. I'm not even gonna bother taking it apart. Oopsie. Oh yeah, there is some damage to the case. So this is looking into the motor side of the hydrostatic pump, hydrostatic transmission. These guys are not that tight. These are some little Allen head screws that hold these bearing plates in. You can see this bearing plate is pretty badly chooched up. This one's got some pretty bad wear on it too. And a little bit of damage around this bearing, I don't know what you call it. It's not really housing, but it's on the edges. I'm not sure that really matters because I don't think it could really affect the alignment of this bearing in a way that would keep it from working. Like I said, I like to put the fasteners back where they go. Makes it less likely I'm gonna lose them. Let's see if this guy will come out. Considerably tighter than the other one. There we go. No, mine have just slipped in there. I've got a 2mm Allen wrench here. The 2.5 doesn't fit. It's moving. Yes. Not very much to these things, you know. I mean, when it gets right down to it, for what it does, you know, providing completely variable gear ratio on the fly. Pretty nice. Okay, so I got that. I get it out. Yeah, let's take a look. Completely shot. Okay. Okay. What more? And you know, I know I need to take this lever out. I tried to take it out before, but it didn't really want to come out. I think really the issue is I've got to get that cotter pin out and then tap it to the inside. And then this lever's got to have to come out. That's just another roll pin. This is a cotter pin. There's a circlip on that. No wonder I couldn't get it off. Man, they do not want that thing leaking. This does not seem to come that way. Bet you there's another circlip inside of that. Once again, flying blind, even though I have the manual right here. There we go. Why that doesn't want to come off of there? Oh, there's a bearing on it. Just two more things. This lever and that bearing race. I think it's possible I can tap that bearing race out from the other side. Okay, I'm going to put down a paper towel. Maybe I can capture this. Whatever this non-metallic stuff is. I just don't know why there would be non-metallic material in the transmission, unless it was like leaves or something. Did it tear a gasket off? Some brake clean here. This guy is going to be a problem. It keeps falling off. I mean, it kind of looks like a piece of gasket. But this gasket is intact right here. I guess I could look at the front gasket. Let's see. Is there any way to get that bearing race off of there? Wants to move. There it goes. Okay. The HST pump bearing race. Glitters. And you know, a little bit of damage, definitely needs replacing, but yeah. So that's it, except for this lever, which I'm going to let that soak for a little while. I guess I could heat it up too. It's not, it's one of those curly Q roll pins. It's not a split pin like the other drives have. If I could zoom in on this. Big gouge right there in the case from something coming apart, probably that bearing. I mean, there's damage in there for sure. Okay, well, I think that's as far as I'm going to take the HST disassembly. Okay, so here's the, sorry about my voice. It's been a couple of days. I was in Oahu helping my brother-in-law with his truck. And I got a cold while I was there, so my voice is a little raspy. But here is the case for a hydrostatic pump, which is pretty much all there is left available to me for me to use. I'm going to go through my process for cleaning these things up. Pulled these plugs. I did all of that off camera. I removed the I think, what is this, the neutral lever? Yeah, and the control lever. And all of the fittings and everything, all that's been removed. There is a little bit of junk in all of these holes. It's going to have to be flushed out. I also, you know, took a Scotch-Brite and a little wire wheel on the Dremel and cleaned up all the gasket surfaces, because that was all pretty nasty. But you can see there's a lot of debris in all of these places. That's all going to get cleaned up. This is a big steel plate. I should probably go over this with some Scotch-Brite again. This is a big steel plate for the that holds the mating plates for the hydrostatic pump. These pins hold that stuff in place. They're really jammed in there and all chooched up. I don't know if you can see how badly damaged they are. I was able to get them out though with a pair of Dykes wire cutters. Just clamp onto the thing and pull them out. I just shoved it back in there so I don't lose them. It's the motor side, pump side. But yeah, we're going to clean this all up. And let's see here. Still plugged in? Oh. A little bit more aggressive for that. Just a little bit of gasket left on there. I've been working with an LS distributor in Colorado to try to get parts. He hasn't been back to me in a week, so I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if there's a problem. This big plate has a relief valve on both sides of it, which those babies were really in there. I had to take a piece of, this is 8mm hex key, and cut it off like that. It's all that would go in there was like that much, and this is all that would go into my 8mm socket. But I was able to get those guys, you know, in there and out. I had to heat the bolt up pretty good to get it out. It wasn't Loctited or anything. I guess it was just in there real tight. So got these guys all out, ready to be cleaned. There's a couple of drain plugs here and here. You can see I put dots on the casting so that the drain plugs go back in the same spots. I'm not sure that that's needed or not. I don't know if you can see down in there all of the metal crud in that hole. The only one I really couldn't get out was this one, and I don't know. I don't know what it really does other than maybe plug this passage, but I think I can flush it out with the parts cleaner. So we're going to go with that. We'll get these cleaned up with the degreaser and see where we stand. Hopefully I can get all of the junk between, you know, washing it with the degreaser, hosing it out with the garden hose, and blowing it out with air. Hopefully I can get all of the metal out of there. So we'll see. This is a little parts washer that I got on Amazon. It just comes with a thing that you're going to see here in a second that sits on top of this 5-gallon bucket, and then a pump that sits down in the bucket. And I'm just using Zepp orange degreaser for the solvent. It's not ideal. The ZEP stuff is okay. It's not great, but it's better than nothing, I think. Get some gloves on. I tried using this ZEP, this degreaser stuff on some real grease, and it really didn't do that good of a job. But this is just hydraulic oil mostly, so it seems to be degreasing it pretty well. Seems to get pretty clean, at least to the point where I can blast it out with a garden hose. But you can see over here, I mean, look at all this metal flakes. This is what's coming out of the inside of this thing. This was pretty clean to begin with. Okay, I'm going to go blast it out with the garden hose and see where we stand. I'm not going to take you guys out there to do that. Alright, that is looking quite a bit cleaner. I'm going to get some fresh Scotch-Brite here and try to go over some more of these gasket surfaces. But there could still be some goo down in the corners of these passages, so I'm going to go over the whole thing again. This is just one section of the transmission that you don't want any trash. You don't see all this metal flake stuff. I mean, God, man. Imagine that being in a hydrostatic pump. Alright, that's this part cleaned, washed out with water, blown out with air, and then I put some WD-40 on it, and then I blew it out again. Now, I don't know if we can even see. Here's a piece right there. It looks like there's a piece of metal in there, but I did take this pick and it doesn't move around, so it's hard to say if I got all the metal out of it or not. But when we look at the amount of glitter in the washer here, the parts washer. Come on, focus. You can see there's a lot of glitter in there. So we did get quite a bit of metal out of that part. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the parts washer stuff, but I'll bring you back after I've got all these guys washed, blown out, and cleaned and put aside, and we'll take stock of where we stand. Okay, well, there's the hydrostatic pump parts all cleaned in the degreaser, sprayed off with the garden hose, and then blown out with air and given a light coat of WD-40 just to keep them from rusting. This is cast iron or steel or something, I don't know. But now I'll just put them away and wait for the parts to get here, and I'll get back to assembling it. Here's the gearbox case, also in a similar state. All the gasket surfaces have been cleaned. Here's the gearbox case in a similar state. Degreased, hosed down with a garden hose, blown out with the air, and given a light coat of WD-40. I actually had to do that twice on this one. And a little note about that parts washer. I just put the pump and the brush in this big tub so I could fit these bigger parts in there. Okay, well, there's the hydrostatic transmission dismantled, cleaned, and put away. I've been working with a distributor in Colorado called Legacy Tractor, not a sponsor. And they have put together an order for me with, you know, every single part inside the hydrostatic transmission is being replaced. Every O-ring, every snap ring, every bearing, obviously the pump and the motor, that's all being replaced. You can't get individual parts for the motor and the pump. They all kind of come as a kit. So I'm hoping, you know, I was kind of hoping that I could replace just, say, the plate on the motor, but you can't. You got to buy that all. So all of that stuff together is about $2,000. I have probably about $500 in other parts that I've ordered from Amazon. The bearings and whatnot for the gear case and gearbox. So all in right now, I'm about $2,500 for parts for the hydrostatic transmission repair and the gearbox repair. So we'll see how that all goes together. I'm still waiting for bearings from Amazon. I've had that order placed with Legacy for about a week, and hopefully it'll arrive soon, and I can get back to, you know, reassembling the transmission. Fingers crossed. That's it for now. Aloha.